What's up, guys? Eli here, back for another new stuff video. We're going to do all death metal today. I got 10 CDs to show you, all different types of death metal. We got like, old death metal, brutal death metal, death grind, melodic death metal. Kind of just runs almost the entire gamut. So there's, just an interesting mix of things. Let's talk about them, huh? From 1996, we have the debut demo of Clean Flesh, Basement of Death. I now have their entire discography, both demos. So Clean Flesh were active from 95 to 97 in Ohio. They went on to be a band called Erotic Incisions. I don't think they went down that path for very long. So this is just really, really, really nasty, gurgly, brutal death metal. Almost so gurgly and so nasty that it almost sounds like gore grind. I don't think I'd call it super grind oriented though. At least that's what my ears hear. It's just nasty stuff. If you like the nastiest of brutal death metal, or if you like gore grind, or if you like all that stuff, I definitely would look into Clean Flesh for cool obscurity, maybe to add to your collection. This came out on Burning Dogma Records in just this year, 2023. Then I've got Exhumed with Gore Metal. This is their debut full-length album from 1998. I always thought it was funny that they had been active since 1990, but it took 8 years to get a full-length album out. They had a bunch of demos and stuff. This is the original pressing, Relapse Records. I'm sure you know Exhumed. They've been around since, like I said, 1990, San Jose, California. I have Gore Metal, but what I have is I have the reissue that has Gore Metal, and then it's got the re-recorded Gore Metal, which is a really cool release, by the way. But I snagged this just because it was like $5 or $6. So, did I need it? No, but apparently I'm selfish and I didn't want somebody else to have it that didn't already have it in their collection. Makes sense, right? But all jokes aside, it's a fantastic album. One of my favorite death grind albums of all time. Just love it. Then we've got, I'm going to try to say this properly. This is a tough one. Mincing Theory and Guttural Clamor of Queer Decay. A death grind band out of Czechia. They formed in 1996. This is an EP from 2004, their third release. So this is death grind along the lines of, I've only heard this band a little bit. It's when you have death grind, it can kind of go from one side or the other. Like it can be more death metal oriented or more grindcore oriented. I think this band is more grindcore oriented. They write like political lyrics, kind of socio-political lyrics, but also kind of jokey lyrics too. So they kind of have that punk attitude. It's pretty good stuff. I've been aware of this band for a long time. I just had never really, picked it up on Discogs for a couple bucks. Thought I'd give it a shot because, like I said, I was familiar with the band. This came out on a record label from Pennsylvania here in the U.S. called Last House on the Right, which is kind of funny. Never heard of that label, but if you like, your grindcore, more punk oriented, but with some death metal in there too. You could do a lot worse than this band. For more death grind, we've got Repulsive Death. They were a band active from 2011 to 2021 in Costa Rica. This is their final release, a compilation from 2022. It's, typical compilation. It's got like demo stuff from splits that they did. Came out on a label called, apparently this is a 3-label effort. Ever Under? No, I can't see this one too well. Psycho Grind, I know that's a Costa Rican label. And Sociedad dos Mortos. Anyways, I only know of one of those labels, but yeah, love the slipcase, and I love how the art on the booklet is actually different than the slipcase. Very, very Lovecraft-esque. As you can see, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Now, I'd heard Repulsive Death before. on a split. They're one of those bands that they've done a lot of splits. They just play super, super nasty death grind. But they're along the lines, I was talking about how death grind bands could go, one way or the other, lean to one side. They lean way more to the death metal side. I would say it's brutal death metal first and foremost, but with some gore grind elements for sure. It's lo-fi, super guttural, just filthy and vile. So if that's your kind of death grind and gore grind and stuff like that, I think you should check out Repulsive Death. I can recommend them for sure if you're into that kind of stuff. And from 2020, we have the second full-length album from Dehuman Reign. This is a German death metal band formed in 2011. Came out on FDA Records, great German death metal label. I haven't spent a lot of time with this. This is definitely death metal, old school death metal, right? Because no one really plays. I mean, that's just kind of, when you hear a death metal band nowadays, it's most likely going to be, a kind of a 90s style death metal. And they do it just like, thousands of other bands. But what I can appreciate about Dehuman Reign is they're not just ripping off the usual suspects. They don't sound like Incantation. They don't sound like Entombed. They go for more of, I hear a little bit of Florida. I hear a little bit of Morbid Angel, maybe a little Deicide, maybe even going over to Poland, like a little bit of Vader. I don't want to say Behemoth, but a little bit of Vader, I think. I think I can hear some Vader in there. And I'm a big Vader fan, so if I'm picking that out, it's probably fairly obvious. But again, if you want to hear some death metal that's doesn't sound like 800 other fucking bands, you might want to look into Dehuman Reign. Clearly, they got the attention of FDA Records, so it's a quality label. I think I'd probably stand behind anything they release. So I need to spend more time with it, but from what I hear so far, I like, and I'm looking forward to listening to it more. And we've got an all-time fucking classic that my collection has been sorely needing for 20 years. Vital Remains, Dawn of the Apocalypse. Fourth album from 2000. Many people say this is their best album. Man, I'd have a hard time. I would not argue with that. It's not my favorite, but it's probably my second favorite, Vital Remains. And they are one of my favorite death metal bands of all time. So this is a re-release from, I think, recently, 2020. So re-release from 2020. Oh, man. I can't say enough good things about Vital Remains. If you're not real familiar with them, you probably are, but they formed in 1988, way back then in Rhode Island. They play a very evil, satanic style of death metal. I always thought their songwriting was just kind of next level. I thought they were better songwriters than a lot of death metal bands, and I always thought they were severely underrated. I think they are as good or better than 90% of the older death metal bands. So. Man, I really wish we'd get more material from them. I'd wondered for a long time, because I think it's been like 8 years, maybe 10 years, maybe more since their last album. And I've always been wondering, what's going on? Because, Tony Lazzaro has said, I have an album ready. It's been written. I've had it ready for years now. And I've always been irritated. Just put the fucking thing out. But then I heard recently that I guess Tony's pretty sick. He's in a bad spot. So I guess, that would be why we haven't got new Vital Remains music. It sounded, I don't remember what it was, but it sounded pretty fucking serious. So I hope Tony pulls through. I know he's got a GoFundMe to help with medical bills and stuff. Maybe you can throw him $1 or $2. He's a good guy from what I've heard. I saw Vital Remains live one time, and he definitely seemed like a good guy. Really appreciative of his fans and nice to everybody. And I don't know, I hope he pulls through. But sorry about the downer shit. Leave it to Eli to fucking throw a huge downer in a video. But anyways, go listen to some Vital Remains and celebrate Tony's fucking stellar catalog of death metal. from 2018, we have the split between Throneum and Pazuzu. Throneum are the band that I was familiar with. I'd never heard Pazuzu. I'm not going to say the title of this split. Well, okay, I'll try. In the Crypt of the Hakeldamok Field. Something like that. So Throneum are a really, really killer black death metal band out of Poland. They formed in 96. Pazuzu, from what I've read, formed in 2005 in Costa Rica. They play more of a doom death metal. So I'm interested in hearing their side because I already know what Throneum can deliver, and they're great, dude. Underrated Polish band. What can I say? When it comes to Throneum, what grabs me is, again, like with Vital Remains, is their songwriting. Their songwriting is just a step above most bands playing black death metal. It just sounds, I don't want to say sophisticated, because some of their stuff is pretty primal, and they kind of, a lot of their stuff is pretty primitive, and I think, that's by design. But some of their newer stuff, I just feel like they step their songwriting up, and most bands, in my opinion, don't get better as they get older, and I think Throneum actually have gotten better. I like their more recent stuff more than their old stuff. So the split came out on Psychogrind Records, label I talked about earlier from Costa Rica. Check out Throneum for sure, because I just think they're really underrated. And if you've heard Pazuzu, let me know. I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but the logo's cool. And the last three albums I have are melodic death metal. I don't listen to a ton of melodic death metal, but I do like it when it's done well. And when I want to hear melodic death metal, you know what I mean? Only the best melodic death metal really scratches that itch. And, the great melodic death metal bands, I fucking love. But I'm not one to just kind of I wouldn't blind buy like a bunch of melodic death, because a lot of it to me is just kind of, whether I think it's good or not, sometimes it's just it just doesn't hit the spot. So these are old bands, the tried and true old bands. I haven't bought anything from this band in fucking years and years, and this is probably the last album in their discography I'd want in my collection. I have had some of their stuff in the past. I've never owned this before. Talking about In Flames with Colony from 1999, their fifth full length. This copy's clearly seen better days. Limited edition digipack from 2014. Not the nicest digipack, but it's holding together. So yeah, In Flames. Oh shit. Formed in 1990, Gothenburg, Sweden. They're one of the originators of that Gothenburg style that everyone loves. Well, not everyone. I guess some people don't love it, but it's very well loved. Like I said, this is the last album I'd want from them in my collection, and this barely makes the mark. You can definitely hear on here directions they were starting to go in. The album after this, Clayman, I think it's kind of okay. I will listen to it every 10 years or so, and every time I listen to it, I'm like, this is all right. This is a little bit better. They kind of still had one foot firmly in death metal. They were starting to experiment, I should say, going down the path that I would not want them to go in. But it's still, the songwriting is here, the musicianship is here. Pretty solid album. I'm happy to own it. I used to have a bunch of their stuff in my collection, and when I did a purge 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I went through a phase where I'm like, oh, I'm too cool for these In Flames albums, and I got rid of Jester Race and stuff, and now I'm just kicking myself. I need, if anyone has a spare copy of Jester Race that they'll sell me, I'll take it off your hands, because that album just fucking rules, man. And the last two, you probably heckle me a little bit, but let me explain myself. So we got these Arch Enemy reissues. Starting with the debut, Black Earth from 1996. These are Century Media reissues. They're digipacks. They're decent. I don't know. Does anyone love digipacks? They're decent. I've seen worse. And then I've got their second album, Stigmata from 1998. Now, you're probably thinking like, dude, really? Arch Enemy? I don't know. Have you heard like the first three Arch Enemy albums before you laugh at me? Because I think the first three Arch Enemy albums are really killer, especially Stigmata. This is my favorite. They weren't this like parody of themselves type band. In the mid '90s. This is pure melodic death metal. There's no clean vocals. There's no gimmicks. Pure melodic death metal. And I think they're, at least back then, they were really good songwriters. Obviously, they were great musicians. But I really think the songs speak for themselves. Beast of Man, title track Stigmata, Black Earth, Bridge of Destiny. I mean, this album is killer. I used to own it, got rid of it in my purge when I got rid of the In Flames albums. I never owned Black Earth before, so I haven't spent a lot of time with this. I've heard it once or twice over the decades. Remember it being pretty good. Excited to listen to it again. Who knows, maybe now that I own it, maybe I'll like it more than Stigmata. But this album here, I'll gush about it again. Something about it that I've always loved. I always come back to it, even after trying to tell myself I don't like it and selling it off, I still come back to it, and it's staying in my collection this time. What do you guys think about the early Arch Enemy stuff? I could not give a shit beyond their third, maybe fourth album. I could probably listen to the fourth or fifth album, but man, beyond that, dude, I probably wouldn't take those albums for free if you tried to shove them at me. Do you like the early Arch Enemy stuff, or do you think that's garbage too? I would argue with you that it isn't. Anyways, that's all I have for now, guys. I appreciate you watching as always. I got lots of stuff coming. I've just been enjoying staying busy with this channel. Most of my videos, I say it every time every time I get introspective with you. Most of my videos don't get very many views. I think that's obvious, but I'm, as a hobby, I have a lot of hobbies, but I'm just enjoying doing this lately. I think I'm going to start doing more live streams. If you guys have any live stream ideas that you think would be cool that I would do here, most people don't watch till the end of this video, to the end of the videos anyway. So for all 3 people that are still watching, if you think there's anything cool that I could pull off in a live stream that you would like to see, let me know. I've been enjoying doing the horror movie live streams, so I'll probably continue to do those. But if you would like to see me do something more music oriented, and let me know what you think. As always, I appreciate you guys big time. I gotta let you know that. So thanks for stopping by. Louis says hello. He's mean mugging me right down there. But we'll talk soon, huh? Fucking cheers.